When you design a new course, what element or elements are most important?
Questions are the most important thing for me. Inquiry. And that is spread all through the course. I need to ask students questions in the course, or have them answering questions or asking questions. The course itself needs to be addressing some questions, because to me inquiry is the most interesting thing. If we're engaging in some kind of inquiry, then I'm interested and I'm excited, and I think the students are too. So inquiry and asking questions and dealing with questions is a medium, is a vehicle for imparting a lot of different objectives I have. And so for student learning objectives, I have a list of things that are fairly standard things. They're critical thinking, and that the students be able to engage in critical thinking, which includes hypothesis testing and formulating hypotheses and testing hypotheses. Problem solving. I want them to be able to address issues quantitatively. I want to be able to write and speak well. I want them to be able to work in teams, and I want them to be able to work independently. So different courses, I'm able to stress different aspects of that to different degrees. So a graduate level course or an upper division course, I can really work on writing, and I can work on elaborate problem solving and things like that. On the larger classes, it's harder to do that kind of thing, so I touch more on critical thinking and maybe a little less on writing. So as much as possible, I try to hit those student outcomes objectives. I also want the class to look a certain way. When I come into a class, I'm happiest when the students are already there and the classroom is filled with however many students. There's full attendance. They're all talking, and they're talking about the class before you even get there. And then in the class, they are sometimes listening carefully and attentively to what I'm saying, and other times they're talking to each other and asking each other questions, or they're engaged in some sort of interaction in response to something I've done or to something I've said, and they spontaneously break into conversations about whatever I just talked about. At various times in the class, there'll be at least several hands up asking questions, and I usually have to sort of stop answering questions and move on to the next thing. So I want there to be lots of interaction between me and the students, and between the students and the students, and lots of questions that are answered and unanswered. So how I accomplish that kind of varies between different classes. Here are 6 skeletons. I want you all to divide up into teams of 4, okay? I'm going to hand you, I've got enough, I think, for each team of 4. I've got cut out on here these 6 skeletons on individual sheets of paper. It's actually sometimes easier to kind of arrange them yourselves. And I want you to talk about that and come up with the order of speed, which is fastest, which is slowest. And I'm going to ask somebody at the end of a couple of minutes to report on that. So I'm just going to do this by rows here and let you guys figure out who your groups are. Whoa. I think I have to go. Don't try to guess what it is. Just based on this. What have you got? Who are your teammates?
Nick, Andy, and Jeremy.
Okay. And let's just write it right on here.
And we chose for the fastest number.
Wait. Okay. So fastest at the first and going down the slope. So just give me the numbers.
4, 13, 7, 3, 8, 5.
Okay. Now, does anybody have a different order?
We got 4, 7, 13, 3, 5, 8.
We have 3, 5, and 8? Okay. Who's different from that? That, yeah.
We have the same average, except for 8%.
So give me the whole order.
4, 13, 7, 3, 5, and 8.
Okay. One more. Yeah.
4, 7, 3, 13, 5, and 8.
Okay. So we're looking. So everybody agrees that. Let's see now. How's this come out? Everybody agrees that 4 is the fastest. Most people agree that 5 and 8 are the slowest. 13 generally comes up pretty high, and 3 is generally sort of down here. So there's some confusion sort of in the middle, I'd say. But I'd say these weren't too far off. Okay. All right. Let's identify. First of all, let's identify these creatures. 4 is an antelope. 3 is a cow. 7 is a horse. 5 is a hippo. 13 is a wolf, although an unusual wolf, an extinct kind of wolf. 8 is an Indian elephant. And here's the race. Okay, now we're going to have a race. You ready? Here we go. This is, maybe it'd be better up here. This is a picture out of an old Time Warner book just showing a supposed race between all these creatures. And I have actually chosen the ones that you saw to be relatively unambiguous. Okay, so antelope type thing is what I've listed as number 1. What I had as the second thing was the horse. Okay, and then followed by the 13 would be the wolf. In this case, a greyhound. So the canid. The cow would be back here, probably somewhere close to the buffalo or the bison. That's my guess. The elephant's back here, towards the end, and the hippo would be bringing up the rear. Okay.